They say the next great wars won't be fought over oil, or borders, or ideology. They'll be fought over what lies beneath our feet. And nowhere is that more true than Africa, a continent overflowing with gold, diamonds, cobalt, uranium, and rare earths so powerful they can build nations, collapse economies, and decide who rules the future. For decades the West looked away, but Russia never did. Deep inside Central Africa, engines roar in the darkness. Men with no flag stand guard at a mine no map has ever shown. Their loyalty is to money. Their insignia, a skull. They are Wagner. And this is the story of Russia's silent mineral war, a war fought not in daylight, but in shadows. Africa is the richest poor continent on earth. A land drowning in poverty, yet sitting atop mountains of unimaginable wealth. Congo alone holds more than 60% of the world's cobalt, the metal inside every phone, laptop, and electric car battery. Sudan's deserts hide gold worth billions. Niger's uranium powers nuclear plants. The Central African Republic is a diamond chest carved into jungle soil. But minerals don't protect themselves. Civil wars, coups, corruption, and foreign interference leave governments weak. Border police can't secure mines. Soldiers are underpaid. Rebel groups run smuggling routes. Africa became a battlefield not of soldiers, but of global powers. And Russia saw an opportunity nobody else reached for. To control Africa's minerals was to control the future. But Russia needed something powerful, something deniable, something deadly. They needed an army that didn't officially exist. The Wagner Group didn't begin in Africa. It began as a ghost, a private military company built in the shadows of Moscow's power. Led by Yevgeny Prigozhin, a former caterer-turned-warlord, Wagner became the Kremlin's most versatile weapon. Where Russia wanted influence without consequence, Wagner stepped in. Where Moscow could not send soldiers, Wagner sent mercenaries. In Syria, they fought ISIS and protected oil fields. In Libya, they supported warlords. In Ukraine, they became a frontline force. But Wagner wasn't just soldiers. They were miners, political advisors, propagandists, and enforcers. A complete ecosystem of shadow power. And when Western sanctions tightened after 2014, Russia needed a new source of money, a source untouched by American banks or European laws. Africa was perfect, and Wagner was ready. Sudan became Wagner's first great African conquest. It began quietly with a handshake, a promise of protection, and strategic advice whispered behind closed doors. In return, Wagner gained access to Sudan's gold mines, some of the richest deposits on the continent. Gold was extracted by local workers, refined in hidden facilities, and smuggled out through secret air corridors. The gold didn't just make the Kremlin richer. It bypassed sanctions, funded Russian operations abroad, and became Moscow's unofficial currency. Every gold bar from Sudan fueled Russia's geopolitical ambitions. Then came the Central African Republic. Wagner arrived as peacekeepers, but behind the smiles and staged photos, they took over diamond mines, logging routes, and trade hubs. They protected the president. They trained his guards. They built a propaganda machine supporting him. And in exchange, Wagner became the real power behind the throne. Local people tell a darker story. A story of intimidation, forced labor, disappearances. Where Wagner moves in, fear follows. Villagers living near mining sites speak of nights filled with gunfire, of relatives who vanished, of rebels slaughtered with no trials, and of communities forced to work under armed watch. Wagner didn't just guard the mines. They controlled them and controlled the people who lived around them. To the world, Russia called it stability. To the people, it felt like occupation. When France withdrew from Mali, Burkina Faso, and parts of the Sahel, a massive power vacuum opened. Insurgents spread across borders, governments panicked, and Russia stepped in with a grin. Wagner presented itself as the answer to chaos. In Mali, they trained soldiers, guarded officials, and fought rebels. But their price wasn't money alone. Behind each military deal was something far more valuable. Gold mines, lithium mines, uranium concessions. A modern empire built not with colonies and flags, but with mines, mercenaries, and political contracts. Where the West saw instability, Russia saw opportunity. As sanctions choke Russia's economy, Africa is no longer optional, it is essential. Cobalt powers Russia's battery ambitions, uranium strengthens its nuclear industry, gold stabilizes its currency. Diamonds create clean, untraceable wealth pipelines. But minerals are just one part of the plan. Russia also seeks allies, loyal votes at the UN, military partnerships, access to African ports and air bases. Through Wagner, Russia does what diplomacy alone cannot. It protects African leaders from rebels. It crushes uprisings. It eliminates political rivals. It guarantees survival. Every time Wagner saves a president, Russia secures another stronghold. Russia is not alone in Africa. China invests billions. America trains troops. Europe rebuilds diplomatic ties. Africa has become the silent center of a 21st century power struggle. But Africa itself is changing. Young populations demand sovereignty, not dependence. People protest foreign soldiers, mining deals, and shadow influence. The question is no longer whether Russia will stay. It will. Today's wars are quieter, cleaner, hidden. No armies crossing continents, no declarations of war. Only men guarding mine shafts in the dark, only gold-filled planes taking off without records. Only governments making deals the world is never meant to see. Russia's mineral war in Africa is not fought with tanks, but with resources, with influence, with shadows. And as the world enters a new age of energy, technology, and global rivalry, the nation that controls Africa's minerals controls the future. And in that silent struggle stands a private army that doesn't exist on paper, but shapes the fate of nations.